All right, so explain the significance of the edict, the Diet of Worms. So when you think of the edict of Worms, I was going to have this as a term, but it goes well with the Diet of Worms. It goes right hand in hand with it. This is the decision, right? This is what is concluding the Diet of Worms, this judicial hearing, right? And then I want you to describe how this edict here, this decision, has changed Europe forever, right? What comes in result of this judicial hearing? All right, so I'll give you guys some time here. Look at your notes, okay, to help you with this bell ringer. Think back to the video I just showed you, right, from the movie of Martin Luther, and well, how you stand firm, okay, against the church, against all powers, all authority of the time. Calvin, you need a charger? I can have you sit back here. All right, I'll get you one. Again, guys, answer in detail here.
Please excuse the interruption. Seniors with a last name M through Z can now report to the auditorium for pictures.
All right, okay, so yesterday we talked about Martin Luther. We mentioned about his trial here, the Diet of Worms. All right, so again, worms. Sorry, I know when it comes to German expression or speech and in Eastern European, a W sounds like a V. So whenever you pronounce anything from that type of region, that type of area, just pronounce it with a V. I know it sounds weird, strange, but anyway, that's how I do it. So with that, okay, when it comes to Martin Luther, he decided not to what? He didn't do what? Go ahead, Jason. Recant, good job. He stand firm against all power at be the Catholic Church, the Pope, right? The Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V at the time. And did anybody ever really do this to this point? No, no, they haven't. I mean, maybe you can think back to Jesus calling out these religious leaders that were so corrupt, but Martin Luther is the next guy. All right, let's face it. Anyway, like I mentioned, when it came to Martin Luther's famed work, his writings of the what? What was his writing again? Calling out this corruption. Austin?
The 95 Theses.
The 95 Theses, good job. And he nailed it on the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany. And again, this was like a community area, right? When it comes to information, it's not like they had the internet back then or cell phones, right? If you wanted to know what was going on, you went to the church, right? It was the center of each town, each city, each village. And what was ever on the doors is what, again, was information that people gathered to see. All right, like I mentioned, the 95 Theses written what language? What did you write in? What language did you write in? Latin, go ahead. Latin, good job. Again, could everybody read and write? Especially in Latin? No, right? So it's important to know. Like I mentioned too, then the 95 Theses got translated to German. And then that invention of printing press just scattered this all throughout Europe. All right, once that information's out, can you get it back in? No, it's like social media. You guys go on it and then post anything. It's literally all around the world within a second. Kind of amazing to think about, right? Obviously, social media and the internet's a little bit more obviously advanced when it comes to information that quick, that fast. But back then, this was the way information got traveled. So anyway, that's something to think about with this. And with the Diet of Worms, they wanted him to recant. They wanted him to take back what he said, and he did. He stand firm. And to show his courage, his bravery, man, there's no one else like him. So when you think about these revolutions, these revolts that will ultimately stem from this point, this event, right? We wouldn't have America like we have it today, right? This revolution probably never would have happened because people were too in fear, right? They were too afraid of stepping out against these powers that were, right? These almighty authorities. So yeah, Martin Luther is a bigger figure than many people like to give him credit for. And I want to make sure I really nail that now. Yeah, okay, anyway, nail that now. So anyway, real quick, what came out from this? Like I mentioned, the revolutions here, the French Revolution, sure. The American Revolution, sure. But yesterday we talked about something towards the end of class. I know I kind of got cut off short, but what was it, Chloe?
It basically made people believe what Martin Luther believed.
Okay. Yeah, right. So this Lutheranism, sure, right? This Protestantism, okay. And real quick, before we get to this ending here, sorry, I'm moving a little bit too quick. What happened with Martin Luther? Right? They trialed him as a heretic, right? Did they kill him on the spot? What happened? What occurred here, Brody? Go ahead.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's exiled. He's excommunicated, right, from the Holy Roman Empire, right? And let's face it, all of Europe was under Catholic control here, the Pope's control. So where did he go? What happened? This is unbelievable. That's right, Pete. Yes, there was a king. Good job. Where was this king from? You guys remember? I know I really can't go into too much detail here, but Luna, you remember? It's not like a massive country that you're looking at. Actually, don't even think it really says land. Saxony, yes. So this is a small German-speaking state here, right here, guys, right, in parts of Eastern Germany, right? So anyway, what was this guy's name? What was this king's name? Do you remember? Frederick the Wise. Yes, good job. Anyway, this guy even sticks his neck out, just like Martin Luther. He says, I'll protect him, right? I'll protect you, Martin Luther. Right? I'll make sure that you're safe from this, well, death that's looming against you from the Catholic Church, the Almighty Catholic. Right? What was the catch, though? What did Martin Luther have to do? Ben?
Translate the Bible to German.
Yes, that's a Ben bite right there. Good job. Yeah, he had to translate the Bible to German, Latin to German. Good. What was the point of this? What was the point of this, Jason? Yeah, right, so that's the whole point of his, well, his diet of worms here, right? Again, his sola scriptura, right? People should have their relationship based with God, with religion, right? In their own mindset, right? With this, with their own human experience, humanism, right? It's not what a church official should tell you with your relationship with God. No, no, you should have your own ability to read the Bible for yourself and make these decisions and tell the stories of the Bible in your own mind, not just by what these church officials that probably don't even know the scripture alone, right? Anyway, like I mentioned with Martin Luther, his evidence that he showed, his 95 theses, the scripture of the Bible itself, right? He proved that he was innocent. You can see it at the end of the video. Everybody was cheering and kind of uproaring in the background. And you can just see how the church, the Catholic Church was losing its power, losing its grasp over the people, right? And as all that information gets spread. All right, so here we go now. Right, what did we talk about yesterday towards the end of class, very tail end of class, that comes from this diet of worms? Luna? Yeah, good job, right? So this peasant revolt, okay? So it wasn't just in one specific area, right? It was spread all throughout Europe, okay? All throughout Europe. The people realized that Martin Luther did step up against this almighty power. And, well, he was saved, he was. Right? Is there gonna be a lot of bloodshed? Yeah. Is there gonna be a lot of chaos, wars, conflicts? Yeah. Did Martin Luther want that? No, he didn't. Right? He just wanted to reform the church. But ultimately, this opens up Pandora's box. This opens up this chaos to be unleashed because people aren't happy with their standing, right? These people are poor, right? These people need some sort of assistance, some sort of help. And well, let's face it, they have the numbers. They're the ones who are growing the food. They're the ones who are fighting the wars. So yeah, power in numbers for sure, especially as people become more literate, more educated, as this information spreads. All right, there's something else here I wanted to mention. Oh, real quick. So when it comes to Frederick the Wise, right, did he do it by himself then? Or was there a league that was formed to help protect against the Catholic Church? What was it here, Jason?
I can't really pronounce the Schmalkaldic.
The Schmalkaldic League, yeah, good job. Anyway, the Schmalkaldic League, these were German-speaking states that bonded together. You guys ever hear a confederation before? It means a group of, let's say in this case, German-speaking states binding together over a common cause. And this was to protect Luther and his beliefs, right? Anyway, from that, well, we'll talk about some wars here, like the 30 Years' War that causes a lot of chaos, 6 million people dead in Europe over these conflicts over Protestantism and Catholicism. What peace comes of these conflicts here that will later follow after the Edict of Worms? The Peace of Augsburg. Good job. What was this? What did this decide upon? What was the Peace of Augsburg all about? Elena, go ahead. Well, not the Pope, but the kings, right? The kings within all these different kingdoms in Europe, they get to decide now if they're going to embrace Catholicism, stay with the old tradition, right? Or embrace something different, like Protestantism, like Lutheranism, right? Anyway, when it comes to religious freedom, this is not the greatest yet, right? It's making the king decide. Is that all the people? No. They don't have the ability to freely exercise religion the way they would want, but the king gets to decide. So this gets the ball rolling a bit, right? Doesn't it? When it comes to religious freedom and free exercise. That we'll see here in the United States. So yeah, you can see how these stories that are being told, well, unleashed in Europe, how that's going to shape the United States that we know it today. All right, is there any questions, guys? Anything else to add here with what we talked about? The importance of Martin Luther, the Edict of Worms. There's a lot to it. All right, here are your terms for today. So, yeah, it wasn't just Luther. There will be more people here that will be inspired.
Juniors with the last name starting A through L can now report to the auditorium for pictures.
All right, there'll be more people here that will be inspired by Martin Luther, right? And we'll talk about John Calvin today. We'll talk about Zwingli today, right? The 30 Years' War, theocracies. Oh, man, oh, man. Like I mentioned, was it the intentions of Martin Luther to try to break away totally from the Catholic Church? No, he just wanted to reform. And well, when it comes to these constant wars and conflicts over religion, did he want all this bloodshed? Did he? No, he didn't. But ultimately, that's what happens, right? Anyway, here you go. All right, guys. So with these two figures here, we're going to talk about them today throughout the lesson. We'll talk about theocracy and well, how that's going to lead to some of these states, these countries being formed to embrace religion and the state together, right? There is going to be no secularism, so to speak, right? It's all going to be together. So when it comes to the code of religion, that's going to be like their constitution, so to speak. And there are some theocracies still around today, right? Specifically here in the Middle East that we talk about, that we talked about a little bit already, and how that's guiding the country. Sometimes, well, I mean, you think about it for the better, but sometimes maybe not, depending on the religion. So anyway, we'll talk about theocracy a little bit more in detail. Real quick, the 30 Years' War, right? The 30 Years' War. This stems from the Diet of Worms. This stems from Martin Luther. Again, like I mentioned when we talked about Erasmus being this influence to Martin Luther to actually step up against the church. Well, Erasmus looks at Martin Luther and says, wow, look at the chaos you caused all throughout Europe. Look at all the war, the bloodshed, man. And the 30 Years' War is ultimately what's going to lead from this. It's going to be over 6 million people that die in this conflict. And most of it happening here, where you see up here in the map, the Holy Roman Empire right here. Okay. This is going to stem a lot of these German-speaking states to fight against one another, right? Catholicism and, well, now Protestantism, right? Or Lutheranism, okay? And that Schmaldic League is there to try to protect Lutheranism, try to protect this new branch of Christianity. And in this causes a lot of fighting, a lot of bloodshed. And that's going to reshape Europe to what we're going to know and talk about moving forward, right? Through this, well, up until really the industrial age, right? Up until even the 1800s, which is kind of remarkable to think about, kind of unbelievable to think about. But anyway, real quick, I'm going to talk about these terms here today with John Calvin and Zwingli and a theocracy. So I'm going to move forward here. Here we go. Right. Anyway, like I mentioned yesterday, I showed you with this map, you can see it's not just Catholicism anymore, right? You can see that Christianity is fracturing in many different places. I think a good way to look at it is if you just have Catholicism as a window or a mirror, and you throw a rock against it, what happens? It just splinters everywhere, right? That's kind of what's happening here with Christianity, right? That's what's happening with all these different viewpoints of Christianity. Once you throw that rock against the mirror, the window, it just shatters in all different pieces. So it's not like it just breaks into two even pieces, right? Lutheranism, Catholicism, sure, Protestantism. And well, that breaks away all these different forms of Christianity, right? Anyway, we did talk about the Desert Revolt, bloodshed, 30 Years' War. There's so much conflict, so much chaos that stems from Martin Luther. Did he want this? No, he did not. But ultimately, this is what happens when you have a person step out against this almighty power. All right, anyway, Zwingli. All right, Zwingli believed in Martin Luther. Right, he was also another reformist of the time. Right, he actually met with Martin Luther on many occasions. One being here, the Marburg Colloquial. All right, we'll talk about this here today a little bit. Anyway, what's the biggest thing here I wanted to mention is that, like I meant with Martin Luther, his goal is not to totally break away from the Catholic Church, but, well, it only happens. People start to embrace this sola scriptura, right, where people can interpret the Bible for what they believe in, right? And that's going to allow other people to do the exact same thing. It's like, hey, you know what? Martin Luther was right, but, well, this part of the Bible, I think, interprets this way. And that breaks off to a new religion. Oh my God, you can see how unbelievable it gets, right? You can see how this is going to just change totally the dynamics of religion and Christianity. Anyway, like I mentioned with Zwingli, he did believe in Christian humanism, right? To embrace the Bible, right? Solely, right? What you believe in, your perspective, not what these church officials are saying, these Catholic church officials. Oh. So he mentioned about the corruption, the indulgences, right? How that went too far. Right, and how these church officials are really abusing their power and authority. And that needs to stop, just like Martin Luther. Okay. Also, he mentioned about how with the priests, well, how about you give them a relationship, right? Yeah, maybe we can end some of this corruption if these people actually have a family, right? Have something binding them to the community. Overall, it's going to embrace the community a little bit more, right? People, these priests here that are discussing this religious beliefs, well, they can embrace culture, embrace the community, if they actually have a family, right? And maybe that will prevent them from partaking in these corrupt matters that these Catholic Church officials have been doing for so long. All right, if they have a family, chances are they're not gonna go down these dark paths of, accepting prostitution. Oh, geez, like these church officials were doing. So, yeah, that's something important to know. Anyway, with Zwingli, his religious perspective, this is more of a typical look of what you see in today's churches, right? How these priests are kind of focusing more strictly on the Bible rather than praising these religious statues and different types of portraits, right? And going into these traditions that have been around for so long. So you can see the difference, right? When you think about Catholicism, they have a lot of these different types of props and different types of statues and paintings that they praise to. Well, Zwingli's like, no, we should embrace our relationship with Jesus, not these different types of props and statues and portraits. So the dynamics of the church change. One big thing here, guys, is that he did not fully agree with Martin Luther. I want to make sure guys, I have this agree with, right? One thing here with this meeting, this Marburg colloquium, right? Luther and Zwingli meet and they say, hey, we have an issue when it comes to the community. You guys know you break bread, you drink the wine, yeah, communion. Anyway, he said that it's not actually Jesus's body that we're breaking down there, right? When they had this Last Supper, it wasn't actually his body, it wasn't actually his blood. Right, this was just symbolic meaning. And Luther's like, no, it was actually his body and his blood. So you can see kind of how that has a different twist to it, different change, where it brings on this different perspective of religion. All right.